It's a fascinating thought. What if you could actually get advice from your future self? Like really sit down and hear what wisdom that older, maybe wiser you would share.
That's pretty much the idea behind what we're diving into today, this text called Whispers from the Sage, A Monk's Guide to the Next Life.
Right. It's framed like that, isn't it? An older self guiding a younger one. And life is presented as this journey, a big learning curve.
Yeah, like climbing a mountain, the text says. A whole mountain of experiences.
And what's the very first lesson on this climb, according to this older self?
Embracing change. Straight up, it's positioned as the absolute fundamental constant you have to grapple with right from the start.
It really makes you think, though. Why do we fight change so much, even when, deep down, maybe we sense it's needed?
That's the core question, isn't it? Why that instinctive resistance?
So what does the sage say about that? Why do we dig our heels in?
Well, a big part of it is just basic human nature, right? We love routine. We find comfort in the familiar.
Yeah, those daily habits, the predictable stuff, it gives you a sense of control, even if it's maybe not real control.
Exactly. An illusion of control, perhaps.
Right.
And that comfort zone feels safe. So when change comes along, it feels like a threat to that order we've built.
But it's more than just inconvenience, isn't it? The text goes deeper.
Oh, yeah. It talks about the fear of loss. That's huge.
Loss of what, specifically?
Loss of identity, maybe, who we think we are, loss of relationships, security, the things we count on.
Right. So even if our current situation isn't great, it's known. The unknown feels risky.
Precisely. We're hesitant to trade that familiar discomfort for something potentially worse, even if it could be better.
But the sage kind of flips that idea on its head, doesn't it? This paradox of change.
Yeah, it says, look, while change feels disruptive, unsettling, it's actually essential. It's what stops us from just, well, stagnating.
Like a pond that doesn't get any fresh water, it just gets murky.
And that's a great way to put it. The text uses a tree analogy. A tree has to shed old leaves to grow new ones.
Right, that shedding, that letting go feels like loss, but it's vital for renewal, for new growth.
Without it, the tree just can't thrive. It can't get stronger.
And isn't that true in our own lives? When you look back, the biggest growth spurts often come after some kind of shakeup, right?
Almost always. Those times when you're forced out of your comfort zone, forced to adapt, that's where you often discover strengths you didn't know you had.
You find new ways of doing things, new perspectives.
Exactly. It pushes your boundaries.
Okay, so this resistance is pretty natural, pretty wired in. But the sage is really pushing for this shift in perspective. Don't see change as the enemy. See it as an opportunity.
An invitation, almost. An invitation to grow, to align more with your purpose, maybe.
So how do we actually make that shift? Practically speaking, it sounds good, but how?
The text suggests a few things. One of the big ones is consciously trying to let go of control.
That sounds hard, especially when things feel chaotic.
It is hard. It doesn't mean being passive, like just letting things happen to you. It's more about recognizing, okay, I can't control everything.
So focus on what you can influence, your reaction, your effort, that kind of thing.
Right. And being open to the unexpected things that might pop up when you stop trying to micromanage the universe.
Yeah.
The sage seems to say true strength is in that flexibility, not rigid control.
Okay, releasing the death grip.
Yeah.
Got it. What's another step?
Adapting with curiosity. This is about changing the internal questions you ask yourself.
Instead of why me?
Exactly. Instead of why is this awful thing happening to me? Now, try asking, okay, what can I actually learn from this? Or how could this experience maybe change me for the better?
So turn it into a learning opportunity. Frame it differently.
Yeah, like you're an explorer in your own life. Change is just new territory to figure out.
I like that. It makes it less threatening. The text also mentions trusting the process. That one feels a bit nebulous.
It can feel that way, especially when you're struggling. But it's about cultivating this underlying belief, this faith, maybe, that things tend to unfold for our growth, even if we can't see the whole picture right now.
So it's not just blind faith, but trusting your own ability to handle whatever comes up.
Yeah, and trusting that life sort of has its own wisdom. It helps anchor you when things feel uncertain, stops you from getting totally swept away by doubt.
Okay. And then there's finding strength and flexibility. We mentioned the tree analogy.
Right, like trees bending in the wind instead of snapping. It means being willing to adjust your plans, find new routes when the old ones get blocked.
So not giving up on the goal, but being willing to change the path.
Exactly. Rigidity makes you brittle. You just get stuck or break. Flexibility lets you navigate around obstacles, take a detour, find another way.
And the last one was embracing impermanence.
Yeah.
Which sounds very Buddhist.
Yeah,
Very fundamental.
it is pretty fundamental. Just accepting that nothing stays the same. Our feelings, situations, even relationships, they all change.
And realizing that helps you appreciate the present more, not clinging so hard.
Yeah. Appreciate what's here now because it will change. It helps you live more fully in the moment rather than being stuck regretting the past or worrying endlessly about the future.
So these external changes, the sage says they trigger internal ones too. Transformations inside us.
Definitely. The text uses that classic metaphor, the caterpillar turning into a butterfly.
A total internal overhaul.
Right. A shedding of the old way of being to emerge as something new with new capacities. Our life changes often push us to rethink our beliefs, our values, who we are.
And this adaptability, it's not just some nice philosophical idea, is it? The sage argues it's fundamental to, well, human survival.
Absolutely. Think about our ancestors. They spread across the globe, facing wildly different environments, deserts, ice ages, you name it.
They couldn't have done that without adapting, constantly.
Their ability to innovate new shelters, tools, ways of cooperating that was everything. Adapt or perish, essentially.
It kind of puts our modern anxieties about, say, a new software update into perspective, doesn't it?
It really does. They had to adapt. And the text suggests that when we lose touch with that innate human skill, that flexibility, it can lead to feeling really helpless, powerless even.
Like we've forgotten we can change and learn.
Right, and that feeling of being stuck, unable to adjust, can breed despair. The sage even points to history, civilizations that failed because they couldn't adapt.
Like the Mayans and drought example, they couldn't shift their practices enough.
Exactly. Or even leaders, political leaders today. If they refuse to adapt to changing times, changing public
I
opinion.
risk getting left behind
Yeah,
or overthrown. It underlines how crucial adaptation is from the personal level right up to societies.
it's a constant theme. A refusal to evolve often leads to problems, instability.
Okay, so this psychological adaptability, this flexibility, the sage, then applies it very directly to our relationships with partners, kids, even at work. Let's start with partners. How does it work there?
Well, in any long relationship, people change, right?
Yeah.
You're not the same person you were 10 years ago. Your partner isn't either. Life throws things at you,
Job changes, moves, health issues.
all of it. And the sage says successful couples are the ones who adapt together. They adjust to each other's evolving needs, goals, maybe even
And
personalities.
if they don't, if one person resists, the others changes.
That's where things stagnate. Resentment builds up. The connection phrase. It's about being willing to navigate those changes side by side, recalibrating as you go.
Like paddling a canoe together, you have to adjust to the currents and each other's rhythm.
Perfect analogy. And it's similar with parents and kids, though the dynamic is different, obviously.
Yeah, kids change so fast. Parenting seems like constant adaptation.
Totally. What works for a toddler is useless or even harmful for a teenager. Parents have to constantly adjust their style, letting go, giving more independence, changing how they communicate.
And kids have to adapt too, right? To their parents getting older maybe, or family circumstances changing.
It's definitely a two-way street. Mutual adaptation is key for family harmony as everyone grows and changes.
Okay, and then the workplace. That seems like an area where change is just relentless now.
Oh, absolutely. Technology, market shifts, new ways of working. Employees need to be adaptable, willing to learn new skills, maybe take on different roles.
And employers too, they need to adapt to what employees expect now.
For sure. Things like work-life balance, flexibility, remote work options, opportunities for growth. Employers who don't adapt to those changing expectations risk losing good people.
So lack of adaptability causes friction there too. Disengagement.
Right. The sage suggests that mutual respect and a willingness to adapt on both sides are crucial for a workplace that actually, works well and innovates.
So underpinning all this relationships,
Mhm.
work, personal growth, is this core psychological ability to adapt. The sage links it to resilience and cognitive flexibility. Can you break that down?
Yeah, cognitive flexibility. Think of it as mental agility. It's your brain's ability to shift gears, basically.
With switch between different ways of thinking.
Exactly. And to see things from multiple perspectives and to change your behavior when you get new information or things don't go as planned.
And if you don't have that, if your thinking is rigid,
That's when you get stuck.
yeah.
You feel helpless because you can only see one way forward, and if that way is blocked, you feel trapped. Adaptability and cognitive flexibility are really closely linked.
But the encouraging part is the sage says this isn't some rare superpower, it's inherent in us.
It is. We are fundamentally built to learn, to grow, to adapt. It's part of being human.
We just need to maybe consciously nurture it.
Right. And shift our view of change, see it less as a threat, more as that opportunity we talked about, an opportunity to develop, to learn, to become more resilient.
So adaptability isn't just nice to have, it's...
A psychological necessity, the text says, especially for navigating the complexity of modern life.
Okay, wow. So we've covered why change happens, why we resist, and why embracing it is so vital. The sage then talks about the how we actually navigate it day to day and live in the present. And the first big point is huge. Our reaction dictates our experience.
That's such a powerful idea. If you resist, you create friction, struggle. It's like swimming against a strong current, exhausting and painful.
But if you embrace it, try to flow with it.
Then there's less internal conflict, more ease. It doesn't mean change isn't hard, but your experience of it is different, more peaceful maybe.
And the sage sees potential in every shift. Like even endings hold beginnings.
Yes, exactly. An ending clears the ground for something new, a kind of rebirth potential in every change.
And the more we accept that cycle,
The more resilient we become, like that river flowing around rocks instead of crashing against them head on.
and embracing change isn't just about getting through it, is it? The sage hints it leads to something more.
Yeah, deeper sense of purpose maybe,
Really?
greater strength when things get tough,
Yeah.
and ultimately a kind of inner peace.
Because you're not wasting energy fighting the inevitable.
Right. You free up that energy for what actually matters. And the older self keeps coming back to this. Change is a teacher. Even failure isn't failure. It's just feedback, learning.
Which brings us back to that amazing metaphor.
You are the sky. Everything else is just the weather.
It really sticks with you, that sense of underlying stability, beneath all the storms and sunshine passing through.
It's very grounding. And from there, the sage moves into the importance of the present moment.
Right, because that's where life actually happens, isn't it now?
That's the only place we can act, feel, experience. The past is gone. The future isn't here yet.
But we spend so much time in the past or future in our heads, regretting or worrying.
And that pulls us out of the now. The sage warns against dwelling too much there. It drains us.
But it's not saying ignore the past and future entirely.
No, not at all. Balance is key. Look back occasionally to learn. See how far you've come. That's valuable.
And look ahead to prepare.
Yeah, life throws curveballs, storms, as the text calls them. So preparing makes sense. Developing skills like, say, conflict resolution or managing your emotions. Being ready.
So it's about being mindfully present, but also learning from yesterday and planning thoughtfully for tomorrow, without getting lost in any one time frame.
That's the balance, a dynamic way of being. Learn, be present, prepare.
And the final message from the older self really circles back to the value of all this, adapting, growing through change.
Yes, that adaptability is maybe the single most valuable tool we have for the whole journey up that mountain of life. It's what lets us handle the ups and downs with, hopefully, a bit more wisdom and grace.
So wrapping up this deep dive into Whispers from the Sage, the main takeaway really seems to be that embracing change isn't just something we have to do, it's actually the path to growth, resilience, deeper understanding.
Yeah, it touches everything, personal life, relationships, even society. By shifting how we see change, seeing it as opportunity, and by working on our own adaptability.
We can navigate that mountain with more wisdom, more peace, like the sage suggests.
Hopefully, yes.
And that sky and weather metaphor, it really leaves you thinking. If you were the sky, what kind of weather are you navigating well right now? And maybe what kind of weather patterns might be coming that you could start preparing for?
It's a great question for reflection. What's on your personal weather forecast?
Definitely something to ponder. Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive into embracing change.